good afternoon, and welcome to Jeff and the Rabbi.
Yeah.
And have a very happy Hanukkah.
Right.
This is our second Hanukkah episode of the season here.
That's right.
And I got to tell you, this one I think is going to be interesting because, you know, after the episode 2 weeks ago, it got me to thinking. And I don't think that often, but I got thinking on this one. Hanukkah. I think Hanukkah is the perfect secular holiday of hypocrisy. That's what I think. And I say that, obviously in a kind way, to secular people. Because, when I was thinking last night, Hanukkah is, if you ask the typical secular Jewish person, what's your favorite holiday? I bet a good chunk of them would say Hanukkah. And, the easy reason would be number one, because it's an easy holiday. I mean, you don't have to go to temple, you don't have to fast, you light the candles, it's Christmas. You get gifts, it's Christmas. It's an easy one. I like, it's easy. The other reason is, if you said to the same secular progressive Jewish person, what does Hanukkah mean to you? What's the definition of Hanukkah? What comes out of it? They would probably say it's a holiday of freedom. It's the holiday that says that we don't have to worship the way other people tell us. It's the holiday that we can do what we want. We can have our own moral values, our own goals, and no one can tell us what to do. That's what's so great about Hanukkah. We fought for our freedom. Now we have the freedom to do whatever we want. Right. Now, truthfully, I think that's probably just the opposite of what Hanukkah is, but that's probably what most people would say.
Did you ever notice that in the United States, all holidays are the holiday of freedom?
They are all about freedom. It's actually a good point.
It's kind of about it's all about freedom. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. It's the holiday of freedom.
Freedom. Right. Which brings me to one of my pet peeves. And I have a pet peeve. Now, I'm going to warn right now, this could be offensive. Now, the reason I say that is because I just went up to Thanksgiving and met with all my family. And I got a little bit of a talking to from some of my family members who actually watch the Jeff and the Rabbi show.
Really?
They say I'm offensive sometimes.
Which
I find amazing that they say. Now, good part, they said you were great. They said, Rabbi Freeman, he's great. They said, Jeff, no, you're not that great. And this is my family.
You're America's darling. I mean, the world loves you. The internet loves you.
And this is, as I said, my family. Forget about the other people. They loved you, but no, they didn't really love me that much. So I decided from now on, I'm going to warn everybody. I'll raise my right hand when I'm about to be offensive.
Right.
So I might be offensive right here. But one of the things that bothers me in America, and, I say to myself, I would love to be in a position where I have a platform to go out and teach goodness to people. To talk. And I think Jeff and the Rabbi is a small platform. That I think it's a good thing. And then you have some of these people, these progressives out in this country. Let's take Hollywood, for example. They finally get a platform. They're big. The whole world's listening. And what do? Now, some of them, like Angelina Jolie, I think it's great. She goes out and she helps starving kids. She even adopts some of them. And she just shows the world, look, I've got all this power here, and look what I'm doing. I'm doing good. Then you got the most of them like this. You have some of them that go out there, and they're going to help the smelt fish. I heard about this one thing in California. This is what a lot of celebrities are doing. The smelt fish needs a certain breeding ground. So they rerouted the entire water system of Southern California, starving out one of the greatest fertile basins in probably the world, starving farmers, ruining communities, just so this smelt fish would have a mating ground. Others spend millions of dollars for PETA commercials with people running around naked.
By the way, my father, bless his memory, really liked smelt fish.
Did he?
Yeah, he was a big fan. Yeah.
He was a smelt fish guy?
He loved them, yeah.
I think I saw him out protesting with these guys out there.
I don't know. I know you could say he liked them, but I mean, he used to eat them.
Oh,
sometimes he used to say, like, if you really like them so much, what are you eating them for? But,
Okay, so no, he would not have been with these people. You're not allowed to eat these fish.
Oh, no, he liked to eat them.
Oh, no.
A lot of them.
No,
he did a whole bunch of them at one time,
He was not politically
correct. Tomato sauce, everything, you name it, he would eat them.
No, he would not have made it. That's it. PETA, you spend $1 million on a commercial, then you throw blood on somebody's fur coat. With all this time, with all these things, you can show the world your values. That's what you choose to do? That's one of my pet peeves. I'm saying, we live, because in a society where you can do good. No, we got to show the people that we have no values. Gun control. All these kids get killed in an elementary school. They get killed over the thing. No, these celebrities say, no, we're going to go. We want more gun control. We want rules where people down in Alabama can't hunt more. But no, we're not going to let you put a copy of the 10 Commandments on the front of our courthouse that says thou shalt not kill. But no, we're going to go limit the guns. So that's one of my big pet peeves. And it all brings us back to Hanukkah and the hypocrisy of Hanukkah.
Well, wow.
This is my rant. I know it was offensive.
That's your rant. Very good.
But what do you? Hanukkah should talk about values, religion, Torah.
Let's try to focus. Let's
Okay.
try to get some focus here,
I've never
okay?
been that focused.
Yeah, let's try to get some focus. You
I'm
see,
going to take some of my ADD medicine and let you talk.
now the problem is when you talk about like a lot of these causes, some of the causes have some value,
Right.
and the people are being altruistic in that they are concerned about something other than themselves, which is good.
Are they?
Well,
The ones I discussed?
yeah, some of the people, I mean, they're worried about the smelt fish. They're not
Right.
worried about. Now, they might be trampling on 50 other people in the meantime, or 50,000 other people, but they're not concerned about themselves. They're worried about smelt fish.
Or just, I know I hate to, just throw some negative in it, or they're really because it looks good and that's the cause of the day, and look at me, I'm now supporting the smelt fish.
That's really the issue. That's really, really, really the issue. And I think that's what gets to paganism, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
This is what the Greeks were. Although the Greeks were into beauty, the body, art, science, and they were way ahead of anyone else. They introduced this to the world. They were fantastic. However, they were also pagans. Paganism is a really interesting type of religion or belief system. See, the beauty of paganism is that ultimately you're not tied into it. You're not locked into it. The pagan gods don't really expect anything of us or the worshiper or the follower, whatever you want to call them. The pagan gods, what we're trying to do is mollify them all the time. But they don't really have any expectations of us. And the interesting thing about paganism is that you can sort of pretend that you need to mollify this pagan or make this pagan god happy, but you can also decide next week that you're going to switch over to another pagan god. And that's why these causes come and go. And I think that's your bigger point, is that they come and go based on what's in or out on any given moment. And really, the cause doesn't expect anything of you. What if you decide one time to let the cause down? I kind of link it more to like sports, which is a pretty big thing in our society.
Right.
Even college sports.
I used to be into college sports.
Used to be into college sports until probably like Saturday night sometime, right?
And I've stopped
right
being in college
until
sports anymore.
until like some little event happened, and all of a sudden you became sad. Amazingly enough, living along your life with your healthy wife and children and all of the blessings that God gave you. And all of a sudden, a guy runs 109 yards, which is not like unheard of in the world that a person could run 109 yards, although he happened to be running with a football in his hand and happened to be like other people trying to knock him over. But, he did run 109 yards, and now all of a sudden you're sad.
I must have missed that.
How did that happen that you became sad? Now, the truth is, you can decide not to be sad.
Oh, wait, I thought this show was about other people we're going to offend, not me.
And how do you decide not to be sad? So what happens? The next, you turn off the TV and you go, I'm not an Alabama fan. Ah, okay. Like, I'm not. What do you mean Zeus? I'm with Neptune. I mean, I haven't been a Zeus fan.
Zeus couldn't tackle anybody.
Yeah, I'm like, I've been with Neptune. I was in with Neptune from the very beginning, right? We're longtime Neptune fans around here, right? So that's the thing with paganism, is you can swap them in and out as the need comes up, and as I need a little bit more of this or a little bit less of that. Or the truth is, if I decide to just altogether like drop out, or at this point, if this seems to be doing better for me. For example, let's say you're a diehard Bama fan, but there happens to be something that comes up in your life that you really, really would like to do that's even more fun.
Right.
You might even actually even turn off the TV or not go to the game and do something else that you think is more fun.
Right.
That's not very religious. That's certainly not orthodox.
No, definitely not.
That's not orthodox, you see, because you can drop it wherever you want. That's what paganism is. And the big thing is that paganism doesn't expect anything of you. So you take as much of it as you want, or as little of it as you want. You swap it in, you swap it out. And that's what all these causes du jour, that is, they are this whole host of, it's the pantheon of secular gods. Today it's the smelt fish, and tomorrow it's the furs, and the day after it's going to be sugary sodas, but the day after that it's going to be something else. And you just keep flipping along from one to the other and the other to the other.
Sounds kind of sad.
And when you're into it today, you're into it today, and when you're not into it tomorrow, you're not into it tomorrow.
Sounds sad and kind of like a waste there to me.
And really the bottom line is, and everyone knows it is, because everyone knows that when it's all said and done, it really doesn't do anything for them. Truth is, just like sports, bottom line is almost everyone loses in sports. Only one team wins a year. So that means 99% of the people are always coming away losers.
Well, that used to be my team that was the one team that
Yeah,
won.
right.
Here,
But every time, most people are just going to be sad. Why would you get into something like that? Because when it's all said and done, even if you won, you have to pretend that you somehow got improved or better because of this.
Right. That's true. That's true.
And you know that you're just pretending.
Yes.
And you know that you really didn't accomplish anything. Matter of fact, you know that during the last 3-4 hours, while you could have been accomplishing something, you just like wasted it on the couch. So you know that that the money you spent buying the team colors and all that stuff, and being in the booster club and making payments to 19-year-olds and buying them cars and all that stuff. You know that was all just a waste because you really didn't get anywhere. People who are goal-oriented, however, if there's someone that's expecting something for them, and that's where the Maccabees came in. The Maccabees said, we're not going to let this paganism come to Israel because we're living for something. We're going somewhere. We're accomplishing something. We have a goal in life. Just yesterday, I was talking to a fellow, asked him, how's your daughter doing? I heard she's dating a guy. He says, yeah, guys nowadays, they don't make any commitment. Couldn't decide if he really wants to get married. He likes her. And the truth is, if he wanted to get married, he would have married her.
Right.
But he just doesn't know if he wants to get married.
Right.
So I thought about it. I said, well, why should the guy get married? If he's looking for sex, he's probably getting as much as he wants without getting married. And what else is he supposed to do? Have kids? He didn't know if he should have kids. Why should he have kids? For what purpose?
Yeah, there's none talked about these days. No.
What are they going to do for him, right?
Right.
Does he have something that he wants to accomplish with them? He certainly doesn't need him to work on the farm. And does he have some type of goals or some type of long-term vision that he's working towards? No. So what does he want to raise his kid up so his kid can go to football games with him? I mean, what's the point?
It's a good question.
It is nice to have your kid go to football games, but are you willing to actually get married to someone and make all that commitment and spend all that time and money? No. So people don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they want to do, and that's why the society in general is experiencing a malaise because it doesn't know what it wants to do. We talked about this when you have all this inane violence, this gratuitous violence, and people just go out for no reason and they kill and they murder. They've got a new thing going on now in New York, knockouts.
Right, amazing.
Knockouts. I mean, what are they doing? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? Because they're just sitting around with nothing to do, nowhere to go. They don't value anyone else's life because they don't value their own life.
Right.
If they valued at least their own life, then they might think, well, someone else also has a life, and they might also have value to it. But they don't really have any life.
That has to be the answer. You're right, I'm sure.
No value to their own life. So let me just go out and, hey, this is fun. I mean, they hit a 70-year-old lady, knock out a 70-year-old lady. A teenager punches out a 70-year-old lady. What's that? It makes zero sense.
That one's hard to explain. No.
0 cents. Unless they just are trying to show life is meaningless. That is literally, that punch is the same thing as the guy that picks up the gun and he goes and he shoots little children. Because it's a person that says life is meaningless and I'm trying to show you life is meaningless. As a matter of fact, I am screaming that I can't stand life because it's meaningless. There's no goals. And all these pagan goals that you're trying to create are not going to make it. So the Maccabees came along. That's what Hanukkah is. And Hanukkah said, we're not going to buy into this pagan stuff. We got a religion, which means we got a God. And the God has a goal for us. And every night when we go to bed, we got to answer to him. How did I do today, God? Did I achieve what you want me to achieve? And if not, I'm going to try harder tomorrow. And it's really about me and expectations of me and what I need to do and who I'm responsible to and who I'm answerable to. I don't have time to punch people in the face. Sometimes I don't even have time to go to a football game. I've got things that are expected of me to accomplish, to build, to grow, to make. It's a whole different world. And that's what the Maccabees said. They said, out with this paganism garbage. And even though it looked so good, because it had all the art and the science and the body, all this really neat stuff, but what's underneath it? It's paganism, Greek paganism.
So that's all great, but we, if you look at today's society, are we not going down that same? I mean, you call it paganism, and maybe that's what it is. Are we going down that same direction?
They call it secularism, right? They call it secularism but they really could call it paganism. But paganism is so out.
Hold on a second. Rabbi said paganism, secularism, not me. I'm just telling my family if they're watching. Yeah. But go ahead, keep going.
Right. It is because paganism and secularism are the same. In either case, you get to choose what the goal is. You get to choose what is important, and both of them place no responsibility on you, only to the extent that you want. If you're into saving the smelt, then you've decided that the smelt put a responsibility on you. But at the same time, something else doesn't put a responsibility on you.
Yeah, but the question is, to take the other side of it, what secularists, or as you call them, paganists, would say, okay, Rabbi Freeman, that's great, I understand your point of view, but that's not the way I feel. I feel that it's more important to save the whales right now. The whales need to be saved, and if I don't save them, who's going to save them? It's more important, it's my decision. Even though if I do believe in the Ten Commandments, it's not fair for me to put that on you. Why should the Ten Commandments be in school? That's a religious holiday. We're not a religious country. How can I force you to believe the way that I believe?
Right. And you can't force people. Really, you cannot force anyone to believe the way they believe. However, you can hold them up to be accountable. And I think you'll find that most people, whale supporters or not, maybe a small little group, but most people are not held accountable. If one day they decide that they're not into the whales, then they're not into the whales. If they switch, and what is their goal? They're saving the whales. Like, to what purpose? How much do you do? And what does saving the whales tell you about how you should talk to the person in the checkout line in front of you? What does saving the whales tell you about how you should drive in traffic? What does saving the whales tell you about what you should pass on to your children? That they should save whales? What? To what point? And then what? You should save whales, and because whales are important. Next person says the unborn. Who decided that unborn are more or less important than whales? Because whales are born and unborn are not born?
Right.
Pretty hard call. I don't know. So the next guy believes in saving the unborn. He said, no, you can't save the unborn. What about the rights of the mother? Yeah, but what about the whales? Yeah, right. What about the whales? This the whales versus the fetuses, and in the best of 10 championship. I don't know.
Well, I think you probably brought up the most important point here, what you just said. Okay, so you're saying there is something out there, someone out there that's going to make these determinations for us. Because what you're saying is, and I feel even some of my secularist friends would say, you know what, I agree with what Rabbi Freeman is saying. How you talk to the person in the checkout counter really is important. How you treat your fellow is important. But how do we do this without infringing on somebody else's right to choose to be a delinquent?
Right.
I mean, where is this rule? Where is this rule that says this is how you're supposed to talk to them?
So that's why the secularist, who, like I said, is the paganist, but the secularist means I will do it, but I don't want God to tell me. Now, that could be Christian God, Muslim God, Jewish God. I don't care.
I think you're right.
I just don't want God to tell me. So what's the difference? Because when God is calling the shots, then you have to do it.
It's pretty much black and white at that point.
Right, but when I'm calling the shots, then I don't have to do it if I don't feel that it's what suits me today. If I am not locked in, I don't have to, when I'm in my closet all by myself or with someone else in my closet, do whatever I want because it's my business. Because I know if it's God, He's in the closet.
But you're allowed to come out of the closet now.
Yeah. Right. So God everywhere in the closet, God's out of the closet. God is everywhere, and God can have opinions. So if that, I get away from that. So that's what they don't want to call it paganism. They call it secularism, meaning as opposed to Godism.
So that's why, and again, we'll go back to the person who's a secularist, but believes, yes, I'm going to talk nice to the person, and on my own, because I'm such a good person, I'm going to be nice to the person in the elevator. I'm going to treat my children right. But I'm not going to let the Ten Commandments be taught in school, or I'm not going to let, and not even let that be discussed. Is that because they're scared because they, listen, if there's a God, then they got to follow these regulations, or is it because, again, the whole basis of paganism or secularism or progressivism is anti-God? I mean, what's the reason there?
They are afraid to be nailed down, to be tied down by God, because God could say something, and after all, who decides who God is, and who decides what God says? But God, as most of the world knows of its expression from the people who believe in one, which would basically be Jews, Christians, or Muslims, who all go back to the same God source, and were all very anti-pagan. That was like kind of their thing. So all of those religions all happen to say things that people who want to go a little bit more pagan don't like. If God was only saying be a good person and all that, that would be okay. But God also says some things that people just don't like.
He gets a lot of rules,
and therefore, they don't want to get involved with that God thing. But the problem is, though, that when they go to bed at night and they've been a good person, to say, be true to yourself, it really doesn't shape up. Because at the end, when I go to bed at night, what did I do today? So all I did was I satisfied myself, my beliefs, whatever I thought was good. But you know what? How do I know that that was really, really good? The God believer knows that there's an external standard it has to match up to. And really, we have found throughout history, and this is just another example of trying to do this, to see, can we get people to be civilized without believing in a higher power? And to date, no one has ever found of a model that can get people to live in a civilized, fulfilled, healthy fashion without believing in a higher power. And we're trying to do it again. We always kept trying to do it. The Greeks tried to do it. The United States tried to do it. Ultimately, it won't work, and you end up having to go back to that original higher power, meaning not pagan, one great power.
So, I mean, a good example is, you see the kids coming out of the yeshiva, the odds of them doing a knockout game on anyone are pretty slim.
Yeah, pretty slim.
Pretty slim to almost impossible. And I know I'm using an example trying to go all the way out, but I can't see Jews doing this anyway. I can't see God-believing Jews or Christians doing something like that. I can't see it.
Right. Pretty hard to hear.
So here's the real tough question, and I know there's a lot of secularists out there that they're secularists just because they really haven't had the opportunity, they don't really have time, they haven't really studied religion. What do you tell a secularist? Give up on the regressive beliefs, give up on, but I believe in gay marriage, but I believe in But I believe in the woman has the right to choose. I believe in all these things. Do I give up my beliefs and just go to the Torah right now? Is that what I do? How are you going to? Because I do believe, as we've talked before, that society has to change. What happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School is going to continue to happen. These things are not going to stop in this progressive society. Right. What do you tell these people to do? Because I think they're the people that it all hinges on right now.
When a person's got a problem, so then there's a program that you can get into. If you have alcohol addiction or all kinds of things, the first thing they're going to say is you have to recognize you've got a problem. If you don't recognize that you've got a problem, then you can't fix that problem.
That's true.
Okay, many people have recognized I have a problem. I'm wandering around society. I don't see where I'm going. I don't see my purpose in life. I don't see what I should be doing. I've raised kids. They never call me anymore. They don't care about me. But why should they? Should they be grateful? For what? I'm not grateful to anyone, to anything. I'm not grateful to God, so I shouldn't be grateful to any. I'm just here. I was born, so my kids are born. So people aren't grateful. They don't care. They don't do it. So A, you have to recognize there's a problem. And B, in the 12-step program, when they get to number 3, they say, you got to turn it over to a higher authority. Yeah. That is number one, to recognize that there is a higher authority in life. After that, we can start to have a conversation. But until someone has ascertained that there must be a higher authority in life, otherwise, people will swallow each other up alive. And you know what? They won't even feel remorseful about it because so what? Why not? So you live a few years more, you live a few years less. I cause pain to you, you cause pain to me. We're all just a bunch of animals that are going to be dead soon enough anyway.
That's pretty much where a lot of people think right there. I mean, that's tough. I mean, I think, if anything, I think you're right. It is. I think we need to go through a national or international 12-step program.
Yeah.
With number 3 being the biggie. Recognize the higher power.
Right.
And it's tough. So really, the holiday of Hanukkah, which everybody, from the secularists on down celebrate, is the holiday of freedom, the holiday for freedom from religion.
Right.
Is pretty much just the opposite here. We've got to understand that, and if we want society to continue on, and as you said, a society has never continued on and never succeeded without God, because eventually it's going to eat itself up and destroy itself. If we want to have a society that continues and our children to survive, we've got to go to God.
And to tell you the truth, the Maccabees taught us a great lesson. Sometimes you even have to fight for it. Well, sometimes you even have to just pick up arms and fight for the ability to be freed from a pagan, which I call secular tyranny, and be able to believe in God.
Well, I think this is one of my favorite shows that we've done, because I think it really it tells what we've got to do. I think it would be great if anyone out there, one person, is really interested. You're a secular Jew and you're really thinking maybe it's time that you learn a little bit more. Go to the Facebook page, Jeff and the Rabbi Facebook page. Ask the Rabbi. Maybe we'll get some contact for you. We'll get some help for you. You start your 12-step program. I think this would be it.
Or maybe we'll hear some, with a bunch of caps and exclamation points.
Like normal, you mean? Like every week. Like every week.
Yeah. Lots of caps and exclamation points.
Yes, I think we should. If you're interested, reach out. It's time. It's time now in your life, no matter how old you are, maybe just take a look. Maybe God is the answer. Maybe it's not Alabama football or something like that.
Yeah, right. Especially after
look what that did for me.
Look where it got this guy, huh?
Not too far in life. Not too far. All right, great episode, and have a very, very, very happy Chanukah here.
That's right.
This is good. We'll see you next week.